Hello everybody, this is Refresh, and I'm here to bring you a battle between the Strixhaven Commander decks and the Defeated God Challenge deck from Journey into Nyx. We'll be playing 2 games against the Challenge deck, first on normal difficulty with 3 Rollicking Throngs, and then on hard mode. And for the first game, we'll be using the alternate commander for each of these decks. Right here we have Lorehold, Prismari, Quandrix, Silverquill, and Witherbloom. And also for these games, we'll be using 3 hero cards. We have the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The Vanquisher, which says your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. And the Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Because I only have 1 copy of each of these cards, we're going to be applying their effects to all 5 decks simultaneously. We'll go ahead and get started by drawing our opening hands. Lorehold draws a Boros Charm, Battlefield Forge, Plains, Mirror Battlesphere, Hellkite Tyrant, Mycoseth Wellspring, Steel Overseer, and a Mountain. It's not an amazing hand, but I think it is one that we can work with. Prismari draws a Mana Geyser, Octavia Living Thesis, Temple of Epiphany, Traumatic Visions, Brass's Bounty, Exotic Orchard, Izzet Signet, and Island. This is a pretty bad hand because it's a bunch of expensive spells and then only the Izzet Signet as ramp. And so we are going to mulligan this, and because this is multiplayer, we get 1 free mulligan. Now we have a Faithless Looting, Serum Visions, Tali Primal Storm, Mountain, Island, Crackling Drake, Mage Ring Network, and Inferno Project. It's not a great hand, but I guess the Serum Visions will help us improve our draws, so we'll keep it. Quandrix draws a Champion of Wits, Plaxcaster Frogling, Command Tower, Forest, Arcane Signet, Forest, Rabid Hybridization, and Curse of the Swine. The Arcane Signet and Command Tower make this an entirely keepable hand. Silverquill draws an Oreskos Explorer, Tainted Field, Soul Snare, Arcane Signet, Together Forever, Author of Shadows, Combat Calligrapher, and Fracture. We cannot keep a 1-letter, so we are going to mulligan. Silverquill draws a Swamp, Tainted Field, Swamp, Boreas Charger, Ablation, Temple of Silence, Soul Snare, and Fracture. It's a weaker hand in terms of things to do, but I think we should keep it. Witherbloom draws an Ezreru Channeler, Radiant Fountain, Ageless Entity, Swamp, Forest, Jungle Hollow, Moldavine Reclamation, and Elixir of Immortality. This is a really slow hand, and so we're going to mulligan this to see if we can get any earlier action. Now we have a Mortality Spear, Witherbloom Campus, Swamp, Sapseed Forest, Forest, Dina Soul Steeper, Blossoming Bog Beast, and a Swamp. It's a better hand, so we will keep it. Because this is multiplayer, we'll draw on our opening turn. Lorehold draws an Unstable Obelisk. Prismari draws an Expressive Iteration. Quandrix draws an Incubation Incongruity. Silverquill draws a Mind Stone. Witherbloom draws a Rampant Growth. Lorehold will play a Mountains and a Plains. We'll tap both, and we'll cast a Steel Overseer. This is a 1/1 artifact construct. You can tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control. Prismari will play the Mountain and the Island. We'll tap the Island and cast Serum Visions. This is a sorcery. It says draw a card, then scry 2. We're going to draw a Rutha Mercurial Artist, and then take a look at the next 2 cards, which are Charmbreaker Devils and Letter of Acceptance. We'll stick them all on the bottom here. And then we'll tap the Mountain and we'll cast Faithless Looting. This is a sorcery. Draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. Flashback 2 in a red. We draw a Fiery Fall and a Volcanic Vision. We're going to discard the Volcanic Vision and the Inferno Project. Quandrix will play a Forest and then a Command Tower. This is a land. You can tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. We'll tap both to cast the Arcane Signet. This is a artifact. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Then we'll tap the Arcane Signet and cast Incubation. This is sorcery. It says look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. We look at a Guardian Augmenter, Terastodon, Perplexing Text, Theoretical Duplication, and Primal Empathy. The only choices are the Augmenter or the Terastodon. We'll go ahead and take the Augmenter because it's more castable right now. We'll shuffle the rest and stick that on the bottom. Silverquill will play a Swamp and a Tainted Field. This is a land. You can tap it for colorless and tap it for white or black. Activate only if you control a Swamp. We'll tap them both and cast a Mind Stone. This is a artifact. You tap it for colorless, pay 1, tap and sack it to draw a card. We'll play a Swamp and a Forest. We'll tap them both and we'll cast Rampant Growth. It's a sorcery. It says search your library for a basic land card, put that onto the battlefield, tap, and then shuffle. We'll search for Forest. Now we go to Xenagos' turn. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards, and in the case that Xenagos casts a card that would immediately defeat all the commander decks at once, and there are a few cards that can do that, we will mulligan that and redraw for that particular card only on this first turn. Xenagos casts an Ecstatic Piper. It's a 2/2 Satyr Reveler. When it enters the battlefield, Xenagos Ascended attacks this turn if able. Hero's Reward. When it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life. We also have Impulsive Return. Return 2 cards named Ecstatic Piper from Xenagos' graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of combat this turn, Impulsive Return deals damage to each player equal to the number of Revelers on the battlefield. So that is 4 Revelers for 20 damage, and then Xenagos will be attacking. This does not defeat us, and so we will continue, and we will take 20 damage, go down to 20, and then Xenagos Ascended will attack and hit us down to 14. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Lorehold draws a Monologue Tax, and we will discard the Hellkite Tyrant. Prismari draws a Zavai Thunder Conductor, and we will discard the Crackling Drake. Quandrix draws a Beast Within, and we will discard the Beast Within. Silverquill draws an Oreskos Explorer, and we will discard the Boreas Charger. Witherbloom draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Swamp. We'll untap. Lorehold draws a Daretti Scrap Savant. Prismari draws an Island. Quandrix draws an Idol of Oblivion. Silverquill draws Plains. Witherbloom draws a Sun Droplet. Lorehold will play the Battlefield Forge. This is a land. You can tap it for colorless or tap it for red or white and it deals 1 damage to you. We'll tap the Battlefield Forge and a mountain and we'll cast Mycosynth Wellspring. It's an artifact. When it enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. We took a mountain, we'll play the mountain. And then we'll just hold up Boros Charm for now. Prismari will play the Island and a Majoring Network. That's a land. You can tap it for colors, pay 1 tap to put a storage counter on it. Tap it to remove any number of storage counters and add colors for each storage counter removed this way. We'll tap all 4. We'll cast Zavai Thunder Conductor. This is a 1/4 legendary human shaman with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, scry 1. If that spell's mana value is 5 or greater, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. If that spell's mana value is 10 or greater, Zavai deals 10 damage to an opponent chosen at random. Quandrix will play a Forest. We'll tap 3 mana to cast the Plaxcaster Frogling. This is a 0/0 Frog Mutant with Graft 3 and 2 target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it gains Shroud until end of turn. Becomes a 3/3. Witherbloom will play a Swamp and a Sapseed Forest. This is a forest. It enters the battlefield tapped, and you can pay green, tap it to gain 1 life. Activate only if you control 2 or more green permanents. So we'll keep it tapped. And then we'll tap 4 mana, and we'll cast our commander. This is Guillaume Master Chef. This is a 5/3 legendary troll warlock with trample. At the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield. Under your control this turn, you can pay 1, sacrifice a food for target creature to gain indestructible until end of turn, and tap it. And now Silverquill will tap the Tainted Field for white and the Swamp and cast Oreskos Explorer. This is a 2/2 Cat Scout. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to X Plains cards, where X is the number of players who control more lands than you. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, and then shuffle. There are 4 players that control more lands than us, so we'll grab 4 plains. We put 4 plains into our hands. We'll play 2 of the plains. And since we have a lot of cards in our hand, we'll tap 1 of the plains to cast Soul Snare. This is an enchantment. You can pay white to sacrifice it to exile target creature that's attacking you or a planeswalker you control. We don't have any good attacks, so we're going to wait and pass to Xenagos. Xenagos untaps, and then we'll cast the top 2 cards. The first one is a Rollicking Throng. It's a 1/3 human reveler. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top card of Xenagos' library, and Xenagos casts that card. And then we have an impulsive charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all revelers gain haste until end of turn, attack this combat if able. So we are not going to be hit by anything except for the attacking revelers. They're all attacking now. And then we will cast one more spell. We have a Wild Maenads. This is a 3/1 human reveler with first strike. When it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 1 life. All the revelers attack. Zephyr will block the Wild Maenads. The Plaxcaster will block the Ecstatic Piper. Guillaume will block one of the Rollicking Throngs. The Steel Overseer and the Oreskos Explorer will block another Rollicking Throng. As the block is assigned, the Steel Overseer will tap to give it a +1/+1 counter. This will defeat 4 of these creatures. We'll take 2 to go down to 12, but we will gain 5 times 5, 25 life to go up 23 to 37. At the end of turn, we'll use the Harvester. Lorehold draws a mountain, and we will discard the Unstable Obelisk. Prismari draws an Elemental Masterpiece, and we will discard the Elemental Masterpiece. Bondrix draws an island, and we will discard the Rabid Hybridization. Silverquill draws a Hunted Lamassu, and we will discard a Plains. Witherbloom draws an Epicure of Blood, and we will discard Gina. We'll untap. Lorehold draws a Dispeller's Capsule. Prismari draws a Forgotten Cave. Bondrix draws a Replication Technique. Silverquill draws a Selfless Squire. Witherbloom draws a Forest. I think we have this, so we'll go to combat and we'll attack one of the Rollicking Throngs with Guillaume, and the other one with Plaxcaster Frogling. This defeats both Rollicking Throngs. And then Witherbloom will spend 4 mana to cast Mortality Sphere. This is an instant. It costs 2 less to cast if you gain life this turn and destroy target non-land permanent. That will be Xenagos. Xenagos is a 6/5 legendary enchantment god, and it can't leave the battlefield as long as the Reveler is on the battlefield. When it leaves the battlefield, each player wins a game, and so we win the game. That wasn't too bad. We'll be right back for hard mode. It's time for hard mode. We have 4 Rollicking Throngs gathered with Xenagos, and we have also switched to the face commander for each of the decks. That's Osric here, Zephyr there, Adrix and Nev here, and Willow Dusk there. Silverquill will be sticking with Felisa because Brina is very ill-suited to play against challenge decks, and we'll draw our opening hands. Lorehold draws a Meteor Golem, Rogue's Passage, Echo Wellspring, Sculpting Steel, Mountain, 1000-Year Elixir, Mountain, and Battle Mage's Bracers. I don't like how slow this is, but I guess the Acre Wellspring can draw me more cards, and hopefully we'll be able to move into something a little bit more exciting. Prismari draws a Reinterpret, Inferno Project, Inspiring Refrain, Living Lore, Humble Defector, Charmbreaker Devils, Aether Spout, and Talon Sky Summoner. There are no lands, and so we will mulligan. Now we have an Aether Spouts, Expressive Iteration, Letter of Acceptance, Talisman of Creativity, Island, Wildfire Devils, Arcade Signet, and Exotic Orchard. Exotic Orchard can't generate mana, and so this is actually also an unkeepable hand, and we will mulligan down to 7. Now we have a Surge to Victory, Dig Through Time, Living Lore, Sunbird's Invocation, Brass's Bounty, Call the Skybreaker, Sly Instigator, Apex of Power. We still don't have any lands, so we're going to mulligan down to 6. Now we have a Hedron Archive, Island, Elemental Masterpiece, Call the Skybreaker, Mountain, Island, Inspiring Refrain, and Radiant Performer. This is really slow, but I think we still have to keep it because we're going to lose a couple cards anyways. We'll remove the 2 7 drops and put them on the bottom. Bondrix draws a Forest, Theoretical Duplication, Rabid Hybridization, Forest, Hornet's Nest, Master Biomancer, Kaseto Oraki Archmage, and Lonely Sandbar. It's not a great hand, but I think we'll keep it. Silverquill draws a Mind Stone, Coveted Jewel, Stalking Leonin, Temple of Silence, Together Forever, Swamp, Tainted Field, and Plains. This is a reasonable opening hand. Witherbloom draws a Forest, Blood Tracker, Pulse of Marasa, Honor Troll, Swamp, Nissa's Renewal, Moldavine Reclamation, and Marshland Bloodcaster. This is a slow hand with only 2 lands. I think we can do better, so we'll mulligan. Now we have a Revival Experiment, Druidic Satchel, Swamp, Pest Infestation, Epicure of Blood, Talisman of Resilience, Forest, and Ancient Craving. I don't love this hand either, but I guess we're going to hope to rely on the Talisman and cast something at some point. Lorehold draws a Lorehold Campus. Prismari draws a Mountain. Quandrix draws an Essex Fractal Bloom. Silverquill draws a Victory Chimes. Witherbloom draws a Venser's Journal. Lorehold will play 2 mountains, and then we'll tap them to cast Ichor Wellspring. This is an artifact. When it enters the battlefield or is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. We draw an Angel of Ruins. Prismari plays an island and a mountain. Quandrix plays a forest and a Lonely Sandbar. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tap. You can tap for blue and cycle it for blue. Silverquill will play a swamp and a Tainted Field. Tap both and cast a Mind Stone. Witherbloom will play the swamp and the forest. We'll tap both and we'll cast a Talisman of Resilience. This is an artifact. Tap 4 colors. Tap it for black or green, and it deals 1 damage to us. Then we'll pass to Xenagos with the caveat that if Xenagos kills us in the first turn, then we will mulligan the 1 card that will kill us in his first turn. Xenagos casts Impulsive Return. We are taking 20 damage to go down to 20. Then cast Xenagos' Scorn. Xenagos is sent against trample until end of turn, attacks his turn if able. So Xenagos will attack. We'll hit it for 6 and go down to 14. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Lorehold draws a Darksteel Citadel, and we will discard the Rogue's Passage. Prismari draws a Scavenger Grounds, and we will discard the Scavenger Grounds. Quandrix draws a Rogue's Passage, and we will discard Rabid Hybridization. Silverquill draws a Selfless Squire, and we will discard the Coveted Jewel. Witherbloom draws a Reckless Spite, and we'll discard the Revival Experiment. We'll untap. Lorehold draws a Rout. Prismari draws a Ponder. Quandrix draws a Forgotten Ancient. Silverquill draws a Swamp. Witherbloom draws a Swamp. Lorehold will play a Lorehold Campus. It's land, enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap for red or white. You can pay 4, tap, and to scry 1. We'll also play a Darksteel Citadel. It's an artifact land. It's indestructible, and you can tap for colorless. We'll tap 3 mana and cast 1,000-Year-Old Elixir. This is an artifact. You can activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. You can pay 1 tap to untap target creature. Prismari will play a mountain and an island. I'll spend 4 mana and cast Defy Thunder Conductor. Quandrix will play a forest and a Rogue's Passage. The Rogue's Passage is a land. You can tap for colorless. You can pay 4, tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. We'll tap 4 mana and cast Master Biomancer. This is a 2/4 elf wizard. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it equal to Master Biomancer's power and is a mutant in addition to its other types. Silverquill will play a Plains and will also play a Temple of Silence. So land enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can tap for white or black. We'll scry, we'll look at the study hall, and we will keep that on top. We're going to keep our mana open for the Selfless Squire because it may be the one of the few ways that we can prevent ourselves from dying this turn. Witherbloom will play the Swamp. We'll tap 3 mana and cast Willow Dusk. Essence Seer. This is a 3/3 legendary Dryad Druid. For 1, you can choose another target creature, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of life you gained this turn or the amount of life you lost this turn, whichever is greater. Activate only as a sorcery. We have no way of attacking this turn, so we're going to pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap and cast the top 2 cards. The first one is an Impulsive Return. We're going to be taking 20 damage from the Impulsive Return. At instant speed, we're going to tap out and then cast Selfless Squire. This is a 1/1 Human Soldier Flash. When it enters the battlefield, prevent all damage that will be dealt to you this turn. Whenever damage that will be dealt to you this turn is prevented, put that many +1/+1 counters on Selfless Squire, so you'll get 20 +1/+1 counters, making it a 21/21. Then we have Xenagos' Strike. It deals 4 damage to each player. That's another 20 damage that will be soaked up by the Selfless Squire. Selfless Squire gets another 20 life to become a 41/41. Then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Lordhold draws a Cleansing Nova, and we will discard the Route. Prismari draws a Charmbreaker Devils, and we will discard the Inspiring Frame. Quandrix draws an Island, and we will discard the Theoretical Duplication. Silverquill draws a Study Hall, and we will discard the Victory Chimes. Witherbloom draws an Honor Troll, and we'll discard the Ancient Craving. We'll untap. Lordhold draws a Reconstruct History. Prismari draws a Forgotten Cave. Quandrix draws a Temple of the False God. Silverquill draws a Plains. Witherbloom draws a Sanguine Bond. Quandrix will play an Island and a Temple of the False God. This land you can tap for 2 colorless. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. We now have 7 mana, so we'll tap 4 of the mana and cast Forgotten Ancient. This is a 0/3 elemental. Whenever a player casts a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may move any number of +1/+1 counters from it onto other creatures. It'll enter the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters. Then we'll spend 3 more mana and we'll cast Kaseto Orochi Archmage. This is a 2/2 legendary snake wizard with green-blue. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. If that creature is a snake, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. We'll put another 2 counters on Kaseto because of the Master Biomancer, and that'll tick up the Forgotten Ancient to be a 3/6. Lordhold will have 4 mana, and we'll cast our commander, Osgir, the Reconstructor. This is a 4/4 legendary giant artificer with vigilance. You can pay 1, sacrifice an artifact. Target creature control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And X, tap, exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card. Activate only as a sorcery. Puts a counter on the Ancient. Prismari will play Forgotten Cave. It's a land that enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap for red and cycle it for red. We'll spend 4 more mana and cast the Hedron Archive. This is an artifact. You can tap for 2 colors, pay 2, tap, sack it to draw 2 cards. We put another counter on the Forgotten Ancient. Silverquill will play a Plains and a Swamp, and then we'll tap 3 mana to cast Stalking Leonin. This is a 3/3 cat archer. When it enters the battlefield, secretly choose an opponent, reveal the player you choose, exile target creature that's attacking you. If it's controlled by the chosen player, activate only once. We obviously have to choose Xenagos. And then we'll tap 2 more mana to cast Together Forever. This is an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, support 2, and then for 1, choose a target creature with a counter on it. When that creature dies this turn, return that card to its owner's hand. The Leonin and the Selfless Squire both get a counter, making the Selfless Squire a 42/42. We'll go to combat and we'll swing Will Dusk at a Rollicking Throng. The Selfless Squire will attack Rollicking Throng. Master Biomancer will attack a Rollicking Throng. Zephi will attack the same Rollicking Throng that the Biomancer is attacking. That defeats 3 Rollicking Throngs. Will Dusk will tap 3 mana. Cast the Honor Troll. This is a 2/3 Troll Druid with Vigilance. If you regain life, you gain that much life +1 instead. And it gets +2/+1 as long as you have 25 or more life. Xenagos will cast the top 2 spells. Xenagos casts Xenagos' Scorn. And then we have a Pharaoh's Band Revelers. This is a 4/4 Centaur Reveler. And when it leaves the battlefield, each player draws a card. Xenagos will attack. I don't feel like chumping Xenagos because I think we can win in the next turn. So we'll take the 6 and go down to 8. Then we'll use the Harvester. Lordhold draws a Hellkite Tyrant, and we will discard the Reconstruct History. Prismari draws an Izzet Signet, and we will discard the Izzet Signet. Quandrix draws a Nissa's Expedition, and we'll discard the Nissa's Expedition. I also realized that we could have blocked with the Forgotten Ancient because it is a 5/8, and so we will actually not take that damage and go back to 14. The Forgotten Ancient should have also gained 3 more counters to go up to 8 +1/+1 counters, making it an 8/11. Silverquill draws Command Tower, and we will discard the Command Tower. Witherbloom draws a Study Hall, and we will discard the Sanguine Bond. We'll untap. The Forgotten Ancient should have gained 2 more counters from Xenagos as well, becoming a 10/13. Lordhold draws an Audacious Reshapers. Prismari draws a Command Tower. Quandrix draws an Island. Silverquill draws a Vow of Duty. Witherbloom draws a swamp. So I think we have this in the bag. Witherbloom will just play a swamp and a study hall. It's a land you can tap 4 colors, pay 1, tap, add a mana of any color. When you spend this mana to cast your commander, scry X, where X is the number of times it's been cast from command zone in this game. And then we will tap 2 swamps and the Talisman of Resilience to cast Reckless Spite. It's an instant, destroy 2 target non-black creatures. You lose 5 life. Lose 5 life to go down to 9. We'll defeat the Rollicking Throng and the Ferris Band Revelers. We'll each draw a card. Lowerhold draws a Sanctum Gargoyle. Prismari draws a Veyran Voice of Duality. Quandrix draws an Opal Palace. And the Forgotten Ancient will get another counter from that spell. Silverquill draws a Bloodthirsty Blade. Witherbloom draws a Swamp. But from here, Xenagos is vulnerable, so we'll just send our gigantic Selfless Squire into Xenagos. Xenagos is defeated, and the Strixhaven commander decks defeat Xenagos in back-to-back games. Let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.